What's going on, Buffs fans? Welcome to Folsom Field, final game of the season, senior day. Sko Buff Sports pregame show. Trent Finnegan, Nick Evans, Patrick Dawson. Did you already put the Christmas tree up? You put the Christmas tree up.
I put the
before
Christmas tree up on November 1st.
You put the Christmas tree up on November 1st. You see, he's
1st.
ready for Christmas. He's got the Santa hat on. We got a fun game today. 8-3 Colorado host 3-8 Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State on an 8-game losing streak, 0-8 in the Big 12. Kind of crazy. I feel like if I said that to myself back at the start of the season, I wouldn't know what to think. But here we are. This team is just not been themselves. Not the team of last year that was really good and people thought had a chance to win the Big 12 and make the playoff. Series information for you guys. Colorado leads this series 24-20-1, 13-8 in Boulder, and then the first meeting. What year do you think the first meeting was?
1907.
Well, let's see. Oklahoma State. I don't think they were an original member because it was OU and Texas that joined from the SWAC. So I'm gonna say really recent, like 1999.
1960.
Wow.
Colorado won.
A lot more recent though.
Colorado won 13-6. The last meeting, Oklahoma State won 38-8 in 2016.
Yep. What was that a bowl game?
It was the Alamo Bowl.
Oh, I haven't
First
been following.
Alamo Bowl.
I haven't followed CU football until last year.
If you guys watching see people on CU Twitter talk about why they don't want to go to the Alamo Bowl, that game is why. So, 46 all-time meeting between Colorado and Oklahoma State. The last time the Buffs defeated the Cowboys in Boulder was
Give me in Boulder.
in Boulder.
So they would have had to be in. Was Oklahoma State in the Big 12 before we left? Because I don't remember.
Yes.
They were. Okay, so give me 2008.
I already know the answer.
Looks up the answer.
I looked at this.
2000. Last time Colorado won
Okay.
at Boulder, trying to end a 24-year drought. I know they weren't in the same conference. I'm still going to call it a drought.
Yeah.
So, Colorado, they controlled their own destiny a week ago at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, and they came out flat. They got dominated, and now they need some help. And that game against Kansas, a lot of people were talking bad about Colorado, kind of like, oh, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. And like, yeah, but Kansas played one heck of a game. They came out and they ran the ball. Devin Neal had 293 total yards and 4 touchdowns. He broke so many tackles. Cam Silman-Craig and Shiloh Sanders kind of filling those run gaps just were not the same as they usually are. Kansas was able to spread out the run also. Levante Bentley's just not fast enough to get those wide zones, and Nakai Hill Green was too aggressive in that game, shooting the wrong gap. So Buffs need to rebound against another very good rushing attack, and Ollie Gordon, a former All-American. But that's about all this Oklahoma State offense has. We'll get to that in a second. But what else did you guys see from that Kansas game that you thought was like, wow, like this is not the Colorado team that could make the college football playoff?
Well, it kind of stinks because even though Kansas is unranked, they don't have a really good record. The thing is, Kansas was only like 6 or so points away from being a contender right now.
All 6 of their losses are by 6 or fewer points.
Yeah, and you watch all their games, and it's like they're not a bad team by any measure. And
Yeah.
They had 2 Heisman watch list candidates in the start of the season. I thought Jalen Daniels was going to have a pretty good season, and as I said, they were just a few points away from being contenders. So I think people let the record kind of underestimate them too much.
That's a good football team.
Yeah, they were really well built. I thought there was no part of their game that looked flat at all. And you got to feel for Kansas fans because, you know, you got CU that looked just embarrassed. And it's like, man, they could have been contenders. They should have been contenders. You know, start of the year, everyone had them top 3 in the conference. And they looked like a top 3 team in the conference last week. And their record just didn't show up for it.
Did you guys see the Grim Reaper thing where it like goes in and kills
All the
Iowa
ranked
State,
teams.
There's
goes
a reason,
in,
though.
kills BYU, goes
There's a
in,
reason.
kills Colorado? Like, that's a good football team.
Yep.
They've been playing well. Another thing from that game too is that's the 3rd straight week that the Buffs would just come out flat. Last week they were down 17-0 early. A week ago or 2 weeks ago, against Utah. Last time they were at Folsom, Shedeur Sanders throws that pick on the first play of the game. They're instantly losing. And then the Lubbock game, Texas Tech, they're down 13-0 like that. Like it's
the offense's opening script is just horrendously bad.
Yeah.
They've never.
It's almost like if I know there's some 2021 Broncos enthusiasts in here. It's almost like if you watch the 2021 Broncos,
You would have expected.
You would have expected.
Like
this.
it's unbelievable how little energy this team has the first 2 or 3 drives, and how sloppy they are, and like just nothing's open, and Shadur's trying to force things into gaps that aren't there, and the line's not protecting properly, and the run game is so vanilla, and it's like that opening script is so bad. It's almost like the team is better when their back is against the wall.
And something else too, kind of with that script is the last 2 weeks, Utah and Kansas have done a great job at stopping the screen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of the fundamental of Pat Shurmur's offense. Yes, Travis Hunter scored a 51-yard touchdown screen, but other than that, their only other like successful screenplay last week was a double reverse pass where the screen was actually the check down option.
Yeah.
And because I remember like Texas Tech, they scored 3 touchdowns. I know they scored 2. They scored 3 touchdowns on screen passes in that game.
2.
It was a lot.
It was a few.
Yeah.
It's almost like their version of the run game.
Yes, it's an extended run game, and yes, Travis Hunter and LeJontay Wester with the ball in their hands are better than Isaiah Auguste and Michael Welch and Dallin Hayden, but
Charlie Offerdahl.
Until it doesn't work though.
until it doesn't work. So I think that it's just the slow start killed them. Their running backs only had 8 carries on the day in that game.
I also
4.
don't think Robert Livingston called a very good game. I
I
know Deion said
Deion
after the
said-
game, he said he called a perfect game, but there was a lot of things that just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like coming out on 2nd and long and like a pass rush defense when you know they're just going to give it to Neal
or
up the middle.
or lining up
Shiloh
Stoutmeyer.
and
Yep.
Stoutmeyer on the edge.
I was gonna say lining up Stoutmeyer one-on-one with I think his name's Alex
The
Grimm,
slot receiver,
the slot guy.
yeah.
He had 4 catches. All 4 catches were on 3rd down and went for a first
and then
down.
putting Shiloh on the edge on the goal line,
Just took him
like
out of
took
the
him out of the play.
Mhm.
There was a lot of things that just didn't make sense.
Yeah, but I think my big thing was they gave up on the run. Colorado is 5-0 this year when they run for 100 or more yards. They're 3-3 when they don't, and it's clear. I think the Cincinnati game was the clearest, where they can control the time of possession, they can chew the clock, they can make the defense, they can make themselves not one-dimensional.
Yeah.
They gotta establish it. So, yeah, that game was rough, but home crowd, senior day. Sun's coming out. It's going to be cold. It's going to be a nice day. Vibes should be good. So, but now we got to look at the opponent, Oklahoma State. So they were 3-0 going into the conference opener against Utah at home. It was number 10 versus number 14. Number 10 Utah versus number 14 Oklahoma State, and it is just plummeted. It has been so bad. This defense is historically bad. Out of 134 SBS or
FBS.
FBS teams. They're 120th, 28th in the nation in passing defense. They allow 271.7 yards per game, and 132nd in the nation in rushing yards allowed per game, 231.5. They've allowed 38 or more points in 7 consecutive games. And big thing is common opponents. They let Kansas State score 42 points. Kansas State only scored 31 against Colorado. Baylor scored 38 against both Colorado and Oklahoma State. I'd argue that Colorado defense is not the Colorado defense. That Baylor game is years. It seems like years ago. That's not the same team. And then Texas Tech scoring 56 points, and Taj Brooks had 4 touchdowns while the Buffs stifled Taj Brooks in the time they faced them. It's bad. It's historically bad, and they don't force turnovers. Their team overall has a -5 turnover differential. It's just bad.
They give up 500 yards a game.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
insane.
that's
insane.
That's literally you. How do you even think about winning a football game when you give up 500 yards per game? Like, not just a fluke that kind of – there's no outlier that kind of upsets that stat a little bit. I mean, you look at – it was 56 versus Tech, 38 versus TCU, 42 versus Arizona State, 38 versus Baylor, 38 versus BYU. Like, this team has – the last time they held a team under 20 points was the Tulsa game. Their last one of the season.
Against Tulsa.
The last time they gave up less than 30
in FBS
was the Utah game.
Yeah.
They gave up 22.
And we all know that Utah doesn't have a very potent offense.
Yeah.
Well, and you listen to Mike Gundy, who he has his own podcast he talks to, I believe, on Tuesdays, and he's talking as if this is like a transitory year for the Cowboys.
Yes.
And it's like, is it? You know, like
you have an All-American running back.
you do, and so and then he gets questions asked in media availability about the transfer portal and the possibility of players leaving because they are so bad, and he kind of shies away from it. I'd kind of be scared if I was Coach Gundy. Like, you're one of the best coaches in FBS. You're a really well-known, well-respected coach.
20th season, he's 169 and 87 as the coach.
Just legendary coach, but like, you gotta wonder, some players are gonna have to hit that portal, you know.
Yeah, the legacy only matters for so long.
And and then he was also asked a lot about the making cuts in December, you know, because I think the NCAA
The
now
roster limits.
Yeah, the NCAA is cracking down on roster sizes, and he
Down
was
to 105, I think.
he was talking like he was going to cut a lot of upperclassmen, which was interesting to me, and so I don't know. I just don't buy that it is a transitory year for Oklahoma State. I think it's just like an anomaly.
They're just bad.
They're just bad.
Yeah,
it's okay.
And that's okay. Yeah.
I mean, their offense is not. I mean, it's not great, but it's not historically bad. I mean,
No,
they've got the
their run
16th
game
passing
is great.
offense, or what is that? The 59th total offense. Ollie Gordon has what, like 13 touchdowns on the year. Like,
Well, he's amazing.
they can.
He's awesome. He's got 4.7 yards per carry, 870 yards, 13 touchdowns, and he's got another touchdown in the receiving game. He's got 160 yards catching the ball too.
Yeah,
So
like they can function.
yeah. So let's move on. Colorado's keys to success here. We got Coach Gundy on what he said this week about stopping CU's offense.
Well, you gotta control him, the quarterback. You gotta know where Travis Hunter is, and you've gotta somehow get your hands on him and make him move his feet and not let him get comfortable, because he's a really good player, and his improvement over 3 years has been pretty impressive. Obviously, he's very talented, very athletic, and competitive, but his ability to improve each year from, 3 years ago has been pretty impressive. But you got to be aware of him, and you have to know where Travis Hunter is. And then offensively, we need to rush the ball for 4.5 a carry or more, and we have to be able to use our play action passing game to get big plays.
And so you saw right there, the most striking thing to me, Coach Gundy is saying we need to average 3.5 yards a carry and use play action passing to get big plays. And we'll talk about it in a second for what Oklahoma State likes to do. But that was interesting to me because I was watching a lot of Oklahoma State football. They don't like their deep plays. They like to get that ball out quickly behind the line of scrimmage, or they like to just hand it off to Ollie Gordon, who's a monster. So I think you're going to see a very different Oklahoma State team, and they're just gonna be looking for those chunk plays basically because they know they're the underdogs, and you're just gonna wanna go for those touchdowns every single play, really.
Yeah, and they got a quarterback. So they had seventh year. I wish you had the picture. It's like going to class.
Yeah. First day of school.
Alan Bowman was their quarterback all year. What does this say? This just says redshirt senior. I wish it said like 7 senior or something. So they're playing Malachi Smith, freshman. He had 1 start last week. He played all right. Completed 70% of his passes. Had a couple of touchdowns. Nothing crazy, but this pass rush is gonna have to get after him. That's gonna be one big key on the defensive side of the ball. But let's pivot to the offensive side of the ball here, because obviously when you have a historically bad defense and a dynamic offense like Colorado's, you're going to need to come out of the gates scorching hot, but you're going to have to establish a run game. And we talked about it earlier. You don't have to run for 8 yards a carry. You just have to get to 2nd and 7. You have to get to 2nd and 6, 3rd and 5. How many times does this team end up in 2nd and 14, like 2nd and 12? It's unreal. You have to just at least try it, at least switch something up with the run game to keep the defense just from dropping back into pass instantly and give yourself the whole playbook at your expense on 2nd and 3rd down.
Yeah, and this whole line's still developing. They're going to be back next year. But guess who won't be? Shadur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and so, I think as this O-line matures, someday they will have that luxury. But right now, you have someone like Shadur who just runs so far back and sometimes doesn't see that pressure.
Yeah.
And then they don't know what to do if
Yeah.
it's suddenly 2nd and long, or, which we've seen a lot, they commit a penalty on those first 2 downs.
Yeah, and then they're just behind the sticks.
And they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so...
And then another thing I was going to talk about later, but I guess I'll bring it up now, is
Yeah.
this team is horrendous on 3rd down. They're 8 for 31 in their last 3 games. They are even worse on 3rd and short. Like you put this team on 3rd and 15, and I think they have a better chance of converting that than if you put them on 3rd and 2.
Yeah.
I
Like,
agree.
They just have no juice to get a guy who can just put his shoulder down and get 1 yard. Their running concepts are so vanilla that all you have to do is just have one person win against their block, and that blows up the whole play. There's no creativity. They don't use the tight ends that much, so every time they bring one on the field, you know exactly what's happening because it's a tell. So
Yep.
they're so horrendously bad on 3rd down, but it gets even worse when it's 3rd and short, and they think, oh, let's just simplify it. Your whole plan is already simplified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just gets even worse, and you're looking at like 7th grade drawing up plays in recess on 3rd down.
Yeah.
And so they need to convert on 3rd down. They're under 25% in the last 3 games.
Yeah, I remember Texas Tech, they had a 4th and 1, and then they got a false start, and it was a 4th and 6, and I was like, this is better for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally better
Yeah.
for
It is.
them to have 4th and 6 than 4th and 1. It's insane. But yeah, they gotta, and they need to address that probably in the portal, but the tight end, like you said, maybe Sam Hart was going to do something, but he got hurt. But Smalls is a fine run blocker, but he's not really a factor in the pass game.
Yeah.
It's just like you see, like Oregon uses Terrence Ferguson all the time. Michigan uses Colson Loveland. These good teams use their tight ends, and they're good players, and they open up the offense even more. So run the ball on offense, run the ball. Try and utilize the tight end. You got anything else on offense, or you want to look at the defense?
No, I wanted to pivot a little bit because, Patrick, you talked about those tells. And as I said, watching Oklahoma State football, as you're looking at Ollie Gordon's tape right now, they don't really hide what they're doing a lot. You know, they come out of mountain or power. They don't hide what they're doing. If they come out of a run formation, they're running the ball.
Yep.
And so it's not about whether or not you know it's coming. It's whether you can stop it. And nobody can stop Ollie Gordon. You see him. What he likes to do is he likes to run inside those tackles, you know, run the 1 hole or the 2 hole, and then he immediately goes to the sideline,
Darts out. Yep.
second level. And you saw Devin Neal, who liked to run off tackle a lot. These linebackers can't really get to that sideline that quickly.
No,
and
Bentley.
Bentley
Bentley,
cannot.
I love Bentley, and Bentley's great at stopping inside run, but he's a big boy.
Yeah.
He's
He's that Sean Lee archetype.
a big boy. I mean, he's 6 foot 230, and he's got that big neck pad. Like,
Yeah.
he moves a little stiff, and like I said, he can fill the run, but he's not going to catch somebody on the outside. So you need Nakai Hill Green to get outside, but then Nakai Hill Green's too aggressive.
Yep.
Shiloh Sanders is too aggressive. They overshoot it. I'm
And he's
interested.
not really big in the run game.
I'm interested to see if Jalen Wester at middle linebacker gets some run for Colorado. He got some run against Kansas. He had one really bad missed tackle. It was like a third and 9 or something, and he met Devin Neal at the mesh point and then just whiffed, and then he ran for 20 yards. So it's gonna be I agree with you. It's gonna be huge at keeping him inside the tackle box and not letting him
Yeah.
escape out to the outside.
because he'll get second level, and he knows these linebackers, and it's about CU stopping that. Another interesting thing that you saw, apart from those line of scrimmage passes that you saw a lot, those really short passes trying to go deep.
Yep.
You saw Ollie Gordon catching those balls behind the line of scrimmage, going down the sideline and getting yards. You also saw a couple option plays with the quarterback. And I know this isn't like the most mobile quarterback, but you figure if you're getting run up on, say, you know, or Oklahoma State is just running all over CU, suddenly you work an option to that. I don't.
Yeah,
CU gets run up a
to
lot.
worry.
And do you really think
yeah.
that like CU's linebackers are disciplined enough to make
No.
the right read on that?
I don't think Shiloh Sanders is disciplined.
He did make
Right.
on one option versus Kansas.
Yeah, he
Played
did
it
play that
perfectly
speed option. He played that
towards
speed
the goal
option.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played that one great.
But they're gonna need a lot of help from their DBs. 'Cause
Yeah.
Like we've been
Yeah.
saying, their linebackers are just not fast enough. So you're gonna need Shiloh Sanders to make some wrap up tackles.
I
Put
can
the
count
guy
on him to do
down.
that.
yeah,
I think he's developed a lot in terms of that. As someone that played DB, that's kind of what you look for. And there's some plays where it's like, man, if my DB coach saw Shiloh, he'd just get an earful. But there's
Yeah.
other times where he's done pretty good.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got an Oklahoma State team that at the same time is going to want a lot of chunk plays because they're playing a really good CU offense. It's going to be interesting to see what how they utilize Ollie, but also try and get that ball really far downfield a couple times.
yeah. Now senior day, 45 minutes from now, we're gonna have festivities starting. Or 40. What does that say?
76
40,
minutes till game
48 minutes, I think, roughly we'll call
yeah.
it. last time at Folsom Field for a lot of these guys, I know Dion said that this wouldn't be the last time that the world would see Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter in a bowl or in a CU uniform, implying that they'd play in an Alamo Bowl and a Holiday Bowl. I don't know. With all that money on the line from a top 10 draft contract, I don't know, especially with Travis has gotten hurt and Shedeur gets hit a lot. I
really do think they both want to.
Yeah.
But I feel like
so
every
much
single
money.
person in their ear is going to be telling them, this
And it's
isn't worth it.
fine. It's fine,
Do some showcases.
Yeah,
do combine showcases, senior the Reese's Bowl if they're invited, whatever
Yeah.
that's
Shedeur at
called.
the Shrine Bowl.
Yeah,
Shrine Bowl. Yeah, they got 6 players at the Shrine Bowl. But
do it then, not at the bowl game.
Talking about seniors, I'm just gonna go down the starting lineup.
Yep.
Chidozie Nwankwo, senior, gone. Nakai Hill Green, grad student, gone. Levante Bentley, grad student, gone. Shiloh Sanders, grad student, gone. Cameron Silman Craig, senior, gone. Offense, and this is just the starters.
Yep.
Will Shepard, grad, gone. Jimmy Horn, senior, gone. LeJontay Wester, senior, gone. Travis Hunter's a junior, but
He's gone.
He's going for the draft. Yeah.
he's gone. And then Shedeur Sanders, senior, gone.
So you're just blowing up your.
That's a
wide
lot
receiver
of
room.
that's a lot of production, and I
Yeah.
know we'll talk about the commits later. Last night was a big night. It's been a big couple of weeks in recruiting for this program, but it's gonna be weird. Like this kind of core group of guys that we've seen here at Folsom Field for 2 years, and
They're all gone.
they're all gonna be gone. It's
They're all
it's kind of
gone.
weird. It's kind of weird to think about. And I feel bad for them. The last time that they take the field, they're wearing white helmets, black jerseys, white pants,
Black socks.
Yeah, I don't know if I rock with
and
this
the
combo.
pants don't have any gold in them, while the jerseys
Pants are
have that.
completely plain.
The jerseys have that gold stripe, like the throwback from the McCartney jerseys that they wore. I feel bad for them that's the last jersey that they're gonna wear.
The last game in the black and gold.
Yeah,
was
it's
like
gonna
no gold.
all their pictures for like combines and stuff and showcase.
Is that worse than the Nebraska uniform?
These are down there. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't like the mountain pattern. I'd rather just have the stripe like that.
Yeah.
So they get little points from me, but I don't know if I rock with those combos.
But yeah, so the seniors, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a huge ceremony for these guys. They've done a lot to kind of revive this Colorado football program.
Yeah.
And now they're handing the keys. There's a bunch of young guys, bunch of freshmen, bunch of sophomores that are gonna be able to take the reins. And one of those guys that I'm really looking forward to, talking about returners now, I'm looking forward to Colton Hood next year. I think Colton Hood is going to be a great football player. When he had to fill in for Travis because that injury, he had 2 interceptions. He had that huge pick against Kansas State that he should have scored on. And he got tripped on.
Yep.
He's been returning kicks. He trips himself a lot on the
Yeah.
kicks, but when he
Yeah.
doesn't trip himself, he's like a pretty good kick returner.
Gotta get him some screw-ins.
Yeah.
He's such a good player. I'm excited to see how he pans out these next couple of years. And he's only a sophomore, so he at least has next year to play. Maybe he'll stay.
He's probably a 4-year
I
player.
think he's a 4-year
Yeah,
player.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Colton Hood. Who are you guys? If you had to choose one returning guy to kind of keep an eye on for next season,
I'm going with Omarion Miller.
Miller.
Last year he had that breakout game versus USC that everybody talks about, and this year
But Draylon.
they were kind of there was a lot of discourse about him on Twitter early in the year when he was kind of buried down in the depth chart behind the top 4 guys, behind Hunter, Wester, Shepard, and Horn. But then I think it was Horn who went down first, or who missed the K-State game.
Horn and Hunter went
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
in the game.
And so he came in and had an incredible game, and he broke his ankle.
He had 141 yards on 6 catches.
Broke his ankle on that hip drop down on the
Yeah.
near
I remember that.
sideline. But I mean, he's breaking out for a reason. Like, I don't think he's having fluke games. I think he's getting his opportunity and he's taking it both times. And so next year when Hunter, Shepard, Horn, and Wester are all gone, I mean, he's literally next in line. Like, there's no one else above him. So
Yeah.
I see no reason for him not to
Well,
be a 1,000-yard
and
receiver next year.
next to him is going to be Draylon Miller, who has been great these past
Yeah.
couple of weeks. He had that big touchdown catch where he just went up the
Physical,
stairs
man, yeah.
over top that Tampa 2 defender against Kansas. He's been great. And have you guys like that guy is thick. Like he is.
Yeah.
He's built like a running back.
He is huge.
Yeah.
He is hard. He is hard to take down.
He's built
He's
like a running
physical.
back.
Yep.
He's a true freshman. He's going to be around for another 2 years. So I think both the Millers on offense, so Marion and Draylon,
Yeah.
will be good. And then Nick.
I have Keaton Wade.
I love Keaton Wade.
You have a lot of seniority in that linebacker room leaving. Nakai Hill Green, Levante Bentley, those will be huge for the Buffs. And you're looking at that seniority. A lot of the leadership on that defense comes from those linebackers. You know, the green helmet or the green sticker, of course, you know, the communicator, usually your linebacker. And you need one of those linebackers to step up, losing all that might on defense. And I think it's going to be Keaton Wade. I think he's one of the older guys in the linebacker room.
He's a junior this year, true
Yeah.
junior.
He's got a lot of flashes, very consistent player, you know, always holds it down. I think in the transitory year that we're looking at next year, on that defense, you're looking for that anchor. I think Keaton Wade is going to be that beautifully. And so look out for him next year. You know, it's Black Friday. You're looking for the buying stock. I'd buy some Keaton Wade stock. I think he's going to have a great year.
And I
next
feel
year.
like up until last week, obviously no one really had a great game against Kansas because it was like, oh, like Keaton Wade's redshirting and he's back up, so you don't see much of him.
Yeah.
But every time he was on the field, he was pressuring the quarterback. He was getting a sack. He was like, you would always know, like, you know, some games you might not always know where, like, Samuel Okunlola is coming off the edge. Like, you would always know when Keaton Wade was in.
Yeah.
That's nothing against Okunlola. It's just, I mean, he's a good player, but it wasn't like an every down, like, oh, my goodness, this guy's making a difference. So, yeah, Keaton Wade, that's going to be a key factor of the Buffs pass rush. But Buffs adding to the pass rush last night with some more returners. Big night, big Thanksgiving night. They were not full from all the turkey, all the pie, whatever else you guys have.
Cranberry sauce?
Cranberry sauce.
Are you?
We'll go on a Thanksgiving tangent at the end.
Okay. There we go.
4-star edge, London Merritt, flipped from Ohio State. That was huge. And this we're counting this as Eastern time.
Yeah,
Black Friday deals.
I was thinking about it. They're trying to get in early on the Black Friday deals. All of the commitments last night coming after midnight back home. And yeah, I mean, you look at that as well, that wide receiver room is getting nuked. So the fact that they have someone like Quentin Gibson coming, you got two nice edge rushers.
Yeah, and Alex McPherson, he's a 3-star. I don't know if you guys have watched his highlights. He is an impact guy. He plays more than a 3-star. I think that he's going to come in and make an impact off the edge. So yeah, we had McPherson, and then you were talking about Gibson.
Yeah, Gibson is very undersized. I think I told you last time he was
5'8", 160.
5'8".
Yeah, he's
Built like me.
Yeah.
he's gonna have to put. I think he's gonna have to put some weight on. I don't think he can play as a 5'8", 170 freshman.
He wouldn't be.
I don't know, man.
Screen player.
LeJounte is not that big either, man.
He can't be 5'8", though.
LeJounte's listed at 5'11", 170, but I think he's not as tall as 5'11".
I mean, to be 5'8", 170, you're built like a 9th grader.
Yeah.
and
sorry.
Dang.
No offense,
I
Trey.
didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like
Patrick
that.
hating on me.
But-
Well, and he said last night talking to Unk, talking to Shannon Sharp, he said that he wants to be the Jimmy Horn replacement. He wants to be
The deep threat.
the LeJounte Wester replacement.
Yeah.
That shifty guy. So, he's gonna be great. Yeah,
Does he return kicks?
probably.
I'd say, yeah, if he's a pretty elusive guy, I mean, you just don't want him to take contact a lot because he's not going to win those 50-50 balls.
God, those uniforms are so bad. The Buffs just took the field here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that looks like they look. I keep saying this every week. They look like AAF uniforms.
There is nobody here. I think I'm interested to see how much the stadium fills up at night.
I
Yeah.
think there's at least 11 people here.
Well, you want to know a fun fact that I saw courtesy of CUPD? Fun fact, about 80% of the student body leaves CU during Thanksgiving break.
Yeah, I heard so. I was told that they shrunk the student section today.
That makes
because
sense.
Brian House said there were like 4,000
Yeah, there was no claimed
tickets
tickets.
that were not
Yeah.
claimed. So, crowds gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
And then sorry, we got ahead of ourselves. And then Card Smith was the last recruit, 4-star offensive tackle. He was visiting for that Cincy game with Juju Lewis, flips from USC. Huge night, and they got more coming. Obviously, as the early signing window is nearing close towards early December. There will be more, but yeah, there's a lot of seniors leaving, but they got a lot of reinforcements. And I think that 2025 might be a year of kind of ironing out some stuff and whatnot. But I really think if they can keep, I don't know if they'll be able to keep Rob Livingston this long, but if they can keep the defense as sound as it is, I really think 2026 is going to be a big year.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
He's going to need a big pay raise.
Yeah.
This Buffs team is not going away though.
Yeah,
Like
they're gonna
2025,
go.
as you said, you have Juju coming in, gonna make a lot of mistakes, but
I know
2026.
that's not on our agenda, but do we think he plays as a freshman?
Yes.
Yes.
You think you don't? What do we? What
No
is
offense to
Staub?
Wade.
Is Staub a
I've,
junior? Or
I've,
is he a
I've,
senior?
I've
Or
heard,
Staub.
I've heard some things that I can't talk about, but it's Juju's going to play. So,
And he'll make mistakes, but that Buffs team will be back.
yeah.
The hype does not end.
Having
with
your first
Shedeur.
career game against UMass, I don't think is the worst thing in the world for him.
Yeah,
It's
it
gonna
could
good
be a little
game.
bit
Oh, we're playing UMass.
Or is it Georgia Tech?
I hope it's UMass because that'd
Do
be.
they have the order of the schedule announced
don't
yet?
They
so.
do. It's somewhere. I haven't looked that up. And then another big week in terms of awards for the Buffs. Couple of nominations for a lot of the finalists were announced this week. Quarterback Shedeur Sanders, a finalist for the Davey O'Brien Award, which is the best quarterback.
Yep.
We all know what Shedeur Sanders brings to the table. 303 completions on 413 attempts, 3,488 yards, 30 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. We know what I like to call it 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
The North Dakota State
The
one,
foot one.
the North Dakota State one off the foot, and then the Arizona one. Those two I wouldn't call his fault. But yeah, we know what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend back home last night, and they told me they have a best friend from college right now who's a Giants fan back in New England.
Yikes.
And he told me the number one thing that will keep him as a Giants fan and just not abandon watching football is if the Giants get Shedeur. And this guy doesn't even like CU. He
Joe Schoen was at practice on Tuesday.
Yeah, and
He was at the Utah game as well.
Yeah.
it was just crazy seeing just a normal NFL fan tell me, like, yeah, I'm only going to keep watching this team if they get my
if the
quarterback.
Colorado quarterback goes to the
Yeah, so that was so
If we
insane
get
to
Cepho
listen
Lufat.
to.
Steven Montez to save the franchise.
So that was interesting. And then Travis Hunter getting no shortage of awards himself.
Yeah, the Maxwell College Player of the Year.
Not the Thorpe Award.
The Bednarik
We'll get to
Defensive
that.
Player of the Year. The Bolitnikoff Best Wide Receiver. Side note, him versus Tetaroa McMillan versus Nick Nash for
Yep.
San Jose State. Nick Nash doesn't get the respect. That's such a fun race.
He single-handedly put up a fight against Boise State.
Walter Camp, which is the Collegiate American Football Player of the Year. The Paul Hornung, which
He'll get that.
he has locked up.
Yeah.
He wins the weekly award for that every week. It's just the most versatile player.
Yep.
No Jim Thorpe.
And then he hasn't been announced for the Heisman, but I feel like it's all but confirmed. You can go look at the sportsbooks odds. He's at least going to be a finalist. No Jim Thorpe. And something with the Jim Thorpe Award that I thought was interesting was, like, I get that it's like best corner, but then he's nominated for Defensive Player of the Year. But a lot of these guys, I mean, it's not like there's some scrubs. Like Caleb Downs, Malachi Starks, and Jahdae Barron, like, those guys, like, go watch them. Go watch Caleb Downs fill the run from safety. You get mad at Shiloh Sanders and you want a safety, you can go fill the run. Go watch Caleb Downs. Go watch Ohio State play Michigan tomorrow, and you will see what a real safety looks like. That guy, I think he should win the Jim Thorpe. Starks from Georgia, he's made a couple of just, like, airbending interceptions. He's a good guy, but what do you guys think about the Thorpe? Obviously, the other ones, like sick. Travis Hunter's awesome. We knew that. But no Thorpe.
I just don't really understand how you can watch Travis Hunter play defense and not think he's an elite cornerback. I know that's part of the discourse right now.
Yeah.
But he doesn't make tackles.
There's a lot of people talking about he doesn't make tackles, doesn't get interceptions, he's not elite, he's just doing cardio. I mean, he's doing cardio because the other team decides consciously we're not going to throw the ball
Exactly.
at whoever he's being. And it's man coverage. He's incredible in the cloud flats. I mean, his ability to
those
bait,
cover twos.
to bait
Absolutely.
a quarterback.
Especially in the red zone.
He is incredible and just all defensive situations. And they say he doesn't make tackles, but when he's in a position to make a tackle, he makes that tackle.
Yeah,
he's a good tackler.
He's 8th on the team in tackles with
Yeah.
30 a game.
And you have the
Or
Baylor
not
fumble.
30 a game. Sorry, 30 total. 30
He's
total.
got the Baylor goal line tackle. He's really good out on the edge when running backs get out there. He's a willing tackler. Like, none of his lack of stats are because of a lack of ability or a lack of effort.
No.
It's because the other team consciously avoids him.
It's because they're scared. And
Exactly.
Scared, and it's fine. It's fine that he doesn't have stats. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. You look at the Broncos, like Pat Surtain doesn't have a whole lot of stats. Like Champ Bailey never had a whole lot of stats. Darrell Revis never had a whole lot of stats because they don't throw it to him. And
I mean, if your cornerback's getting 9 tackles a game, there's an issue there.
like when the
Yeah.
Boise State guy had 11 tackles,
And they
he
had to, like-
he had 10 catches, 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns on his head from
Yeah.
was it Nash? Was it Nash?
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's
Yeah,
such
Nash
a
put
good
up,
wide
and they're like,
receiver.
oh, he had 11 tackles, but it's like, oh, the Biletnikoff
That means they're not afraid to throw your
the
way.
Biletnikoff finalist just went at you
Forced it.
10 times.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's not why Travis Hunter is so impressive either. It's not because he's the best D-back. It's because he's the top 5 wide receiver and cornerback. That's what makes him such a good player, and I think he's much bigger of a wide receiver threat than he is a cornerback threat. I hope he plays as a wide receiver in the big leagues, but he's not the best cornerback.
I think
That's not why I love
I
that.
think he's just he has intangibles that you can't teach at
Yeah,
quarterback.
yeah.
He has ball skills and game knowledge and IQ.
Yeah.
As here he comes out. Let's see if we're up to, we'll call it 111. We're up from 11 fans to 111
There we
fans.
go. There we go.
As he makes his sprint around the north end zone, starts warming up. I think that he just has intangibles at corner.
Yeah.
And I think personally that it would be better for him to play corner. Obviously, he's going to have to beef up because there are some massive receivers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because he's an outside corner. Like, I mean, I keep using the Broncos as an example. But, like, how big is Sutton?
6'3",
6'3"?
Yeah, he's a big guy.
215 probably.
215. Yeah. Hunter's listed at 185 pounds, so he's gonna have to beef up. But
And also
his,
durability's been.
his skills,
Yeah.
his ball skills, make it so he can match up against those bigger receivers. So I think
and his
full-time
closing's-
corner and
I was
then-
just about to
and
say
then
that.
packages at receiver.
That's exactly what I would say.
Yeah.
I would say full-time corner. I mean, his closing speed is
insane.
ridiculous. That one diving
Kansas?
deflection against
Yeah.
Kansas,
Almost caught that.
like
pick.
what other corner is making that play?
Yeah.
So you're the other side, kind of
I-
full-time offense.
I like the way that he draws eyes. You see linebackers kind of their first read is to first look behind and, oh, okay, Travis is, what's he doing? And then I'm like, okay, what's the run? What's happening?
Yeah.
And I think his ability to just draw eyes from multiple players is insane. So I'd prefer he be a wide receiver. I know people are like, oh, he's not getting the ball as much. That's because he's getting just so many people drawn to him. And I think if you get an NFL team that can prosper because Travis is drawing eyes from the wide receiver one, I think that's an invaluable thing that you can't teach.
I think there are 32 teams in the NFL that would immediately have a hole filled by Travis Hunter of some kind.
Yep.
I will say, if we get to watch Drake May throw the football to Travis Hunter, I am gonna
Amazing.
I'm gonna watch every
Would be
Patriots game next
amazing.
year.
Yeah.
And then on the
Amazing.
back end on defense, you got 2 Colorado quarterbacks.
Yep.
Christian Gonzalez and Travis
Gonzo.
Hunter in
There
the
we go.
secondary. So yeah. That
I wouldn't be mad no matter what he plays.
That'd be fun,
I'll
but-
put it that way.
But yeah, awards get announced kind of mid-December, 2 weeks from now after conference championship week. We know Travis Hunter is going to take home one. Shador with the Davey O'Brien, it's going to be close. Obviously, his main competition is Cam Ward,
Yeah.
who's a phenomenal quarterback at Miami. We know what he's doing. I was going to say, but I think SMU is going to beat them, so I'm not
Yeah.
going to say it. So they're a good team. They've had a great season, but good awards. But then the important stuff.
Yep. This game doesn't
The
even
Big
matter.
12.
Really.
Yeah, this game is kind of
The Big 12.
Kind of
So
a wash.
Colorado has to win. We know that. We know that.
Oops.
Arizona State, and tomorrow all the games are staggered. Shout out the scheduling. Shout out
Yes.
the TV scheduling. Arizona State at Arizona. Kansas State at Iowa State. Houston at BYU. Colorado currently in a 4-way tie. They
Yeah.
are 4th in that tiebreaker.
and they don't win in a straight tie.
They don't win a straight tie. So Arizona State right now in the tie, it's Arizona State BYU. Arizona State beats Colorado in common opponent win percentage. BYU beats Colorado and best common opponent beaten. BYU beat Kansas State.
Yep.
Colorado, I can't. If they
That
those
should have won
guys-
that game,
they-
dude.
Those
That was
guys didn't get
ridiculous.
hurt in that game. And then Iowa State is tied with Colorado in common opponent win percentage.
That's why they need Iowa State to lose.
But they need Iowa State. But something you brought up earlier before we went on, Nick, was how big that Texas Tech win was.
And the Baylor one, because right now, if this Iowa State thing would not exist if we lost to Baylor, you know, with that overtime fumble and whatnot. But in retrospect, if we lost against Baylor and say we won against Kansas, Iowa State would have that tiebreaker. So we wouldn't even be looking at this alternate scenario. It would only be we would need BYU to lose to Houston. That's it. So the Baylor game was important and the TTU game was important because I want to say Iowa State and Arizona State both lost to Texas Tech. So if we lost to Texas Tech, we won't even be looking at a clinching scenario at all if we somehow beat Kansas.
Yes.
And so that Texas Tech game and that Baylor game, huge because the other teams in the four-way tie lost to them in some shape or form. And it's funny because CU hasn't played any of the teams that they tie with, so we're looking at these stupid...
It's insane.
It's all different tiebreakers.
Yeah, and it sucks because it's like, yes, CU has beat the teams that are kind of more towards the bottom of the conference. It sucks. Which at the start of the season was like, oh my God, CU plays like the top 5 teams in the conference. But the big thing in my eyes, I know BYU's falling. I know they've had a rough couple weeks. I know that they look like an IM recreational flag football offense when they get in the red zone.
Retzlaff.
They're playing Houston. I don't think that I know Houston played spoiler. I'm totally blanking. Was it Kansas State? I think they beat Kansas State.
It was Kansas
Last
State.
week?
Yeah.
No, it was a couple
or
weeks
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Kansas State. I just don't see BYU losing to Houston. But Iowa State, Kansas State, that could very well be a Kansas State win.
It's a ranked game.
And then you got a rivalry, Arizona State versus Arizona. And we know Arizona, I mean, they've fallen so far. But when you have Tetero McMillan, you have Noah Fafita, anything can really happen. You can get those guys hot. So I think the realistic path for Colorado is going to be both an Iowa State and an Arizona State loss.
Absolutely. And UNLV was just making Houston look embarrassed. I think it was week 2, I want to say.
Yeah.
That was the first
bad.
Big 12 game that I saw, and they just were stalling out. I don't have high hopes for Houston. I think we're going to have to look at that secondary scenario.
Yeah.
It's BYU's. I mean, it just there's not a whole lot of you're not looking at a whole lot of things and saying this is what Houston does better than BYU and this is the Achilles heel that Houston can take advantage of to steal this game. So you're kind of either hoping for a fluke there, or you're hoping for one fluke or 2 more realistic, but not likely but possible options.
I think the 2 realistic is way more likely than the fluke. And
I'm sorry. The worst part about it is that the BYU game is the last one of the day, so we're gonna know by that point whether or not we're in, and so that would be the worst if one of those upsets happen, and then
Big 12 after dark,
and
baby.
then we're up until like 11 midnight, and BYU just holds on, and so that being the night game might be the worst part about it.
Yeah,
if it comes down to that.
But yeah, I mean, this is so much fun. Even if Colorado doesn't make it, like you see, like. Oh, the SEC, it's Georgia versus the Texas A&M winner. The Big Ten, it's Oregon versus is it Oregon versus Ohio State?
Washington. Oregon, Washington.
Well, no, Oregon's already
no.
clinched the game. I'm talking about title games.
The Big Ten
games.
title?
Yeah.
Oregon,
it might be Ohio. I think Ohio State clinches with win over Michigan.
Okay. But it's
I think Indiana messed up.
My point is, this is boring.
Yeah.
Those are boring. Those are set. They were set a week ago. We got a 3-game slate on Saturday, back to back to back. Big 12 football, each leftovers. It's gonna be fun. And obviously, you know, my other thing is there are people now who's like, oh, Colorado's season is a failure. No,
Absolutely
they're
not.
like, oh, they choked. They had their destiny.
They're playing for 10 wins.
They had the honey in the jar and they spilled it all. Like, no, this team was 1-11 and then 4-8. If they win today, which they should, they would have 9 wins. A bowl game could be a 10-win season. I don't care if they don't make the conference championship. I don't care if they don't make the college football playoff. Winning 9 or 10 games is a win after what this football program has gone through since 2016.
When do you think was the last time they won 10 games?
Was it 05
or 16
with Klatt?
16.
They did
when they won the Pac-12.
they did get to 10. Okay.
And then the
05
last time
when they
before
got
that was
destroyed.
01.
They didn't even win that?
They lost in the Fiesta Bowl.
Oh, because the Big 12 North was so bad.
Yeah, and remember
That's
Texas
why.
won 70-3 in that game?
Yeah.
That's how bad.
They've gotten 10 wins twice in the 21st century.
Yeah.
So no matter what, like this is a successful season.
Yep.
They've gotten these recruits. They've this team is stampled.
Stampled.
I said stapled and stamped at the same time. This team is stamped on the map. They're gonna be around the Big 12. We know what they got. We got the coaches. It's a successful season.
Yep.
I don't care. I don't care. It's been a good season.
And they're not going away.
But yeah, root for chaos. Root for a Buffs win today for these Buff fans.
Yep.
And then let's go score predictions. Let's go score predictions last. I'll start with Patrick.
I think the spread is somewhere around, 14, 15, something like that.
Is it on the sheet? It keeps changing on the sports books like every other day.
Would it be on this sheet?
I
I've
don't-
never seen it
I
on
don't
the sheet
know if
before.
I don't know if they put it on the sheet.
I'm going to assume it's somewhere around 14, 15, 2 scores. I'm going to say Colorado's going to score 42 points today and win.
16.
I'm saying Colorado scores 42, and then it's just up to Oklahoma State. I think they're probably going to – C's going to give up one big touchdown. They're going to give up like an 80-yard touchdown somehow.
Yeah.
And then I think other than that, they're not going to really do a whole lot. So I'm saying like 42-21, I'd say.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar. Probably like 45-28. I don't think CU is going to have an answer to Ollie Gordon, but you can only do so much with a single running back. So I think that's what'll happen. I think in the end, CU it's a shootout. But, you can only do so much with Ollie Gordon. We saw that with the other games they played. There's a reason they're 0-8. I think you're going to see it here.
Yeah. I got 45-31 Colorado. I just don't think I don't think Oklahoma State is going to be able to get enough stops. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Shador is going to do his thing. I think that they're going to be established a little bit of a run game. Like you said, I don't think they're going to stop Ollie Gordon. But like I said, it's going to be all right because this pass defense, Oklahoma State is going to have to throw the ball at some point to keep up. And I don't think that they're going to be able to keep up with the Buffaloes. So that's kind of all the game stuff we got. Yesterday was Thanksgiving. I'll start with you, Patrick. What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish, man?
Okay, unfortunately, I didn't have it yesterday. My favorite dish is sweet potato casserole with the marshmallows on top of it, and you put it in the oven, and then they get like nice and roasted on the top of it. That's my favorite dish. Either that or the mac and cheese. I'm not a huge fan of like stuffing, cranberry sauce, even turkey's kind of mid. So I'm a huge sweet potato casserole, huge mac and cheese guy.
Okay.
I love the rolls. I'm a big roll guy. Love a bread roll.
I love rolls. I had croissants and Hawaiian rolls last night. It was
we go.
amazing. So, Nick, is your mic? Sorry, Nick's mic kind of cut out. Try it.
I don't think it is working. Just to be safe, because I can hear myself in this one. I also didn't have Thanksgiving dinner. This was my first Thanksgiving without it. I had McDonald's, so.
There we go. There we go.
$5 meal deal.
Yeah, I will agree with you. I never liked turkey. I've never had mac and cheese on Thanksgiving. That's something we never did. I do love those Hawaiian rolls. I was reposting like TikToks all week about like the 07 Patriots O-line is gonna have to defend me from getting those Hawaiian rolls, or it's like Marshawn Lynch, like Beastquake, like me running to the to the Hawaiian rolls. I'm gonna say stuffing. I've always loved stuffing.
Yikes.
Just not a big turkey person.
Big yikes.
Christmas dinner is my thing though. I love ham. I love potatoes, corn, and all that. Thanksgiving, not really my thing, but I like the occasion more than I do the meal itself.
I'd have to agree with you on the ham. I think ham's better.
valid. I think
better
ham
than
is valid.
turkey. I think the best ham, I think a mid-tier ham is better than the best turkey. You can make no matter if
There
you
we go.
smoke it,
Yeah.
if you however
Yep.
you cook it, it's fine.
Last year with my God family, we didn't do turkey. We did like everyone got a small chicken,
okay,
their own chicken.
okay.
And that was pretty valid.
That's cool. That's cool.
I like alternative turkey dinner.
I would say the sweet potato casserole. My family does it where you put the marshmallows on top and bake them.
Yep.
Actually, last night we did it half and half, where it's the marshmallows on one half, and then it was like kind of like a like oats, like kind of like a granola on the other side, so
Okay.
it didn't feel like as unhealthy. It was still pretty good. Had some cinnamon and whatnot. I'd say sweet potato casserole and the rolls. I'd say no matter
we
what
go.
kind of roll, if you put a roll in front of me on
There we
Thanksgiving,
go.
that thing's gone. That thing's gone.
You're a cranberry guy?
Nah, I'm not a cranberry.
My dad
sauce
loves
guy.
like the cranberries where you can see the shape of the can like embedded into the solid cranberry
You just
brick.
plop it out of the can. Yeah, yeah. I had my turkey last night, and what is it? Tryptophan? Is that the thing in the turkey? I don't know. Watching the Dolphins play in Lambeau Field put me to sleep after Thanksgiving last night.
I was watching
But,
Drew Lock try to light up the Cowboys defense.
I was
Yeah.
watching Tulane get upset, which is good for us.
Yeah, Tulane getting upset. But yeah, that's. I think that's gonna do it for us. Final game at Folsom Field, senior day here. Kickoff, stadium clocks got it at 45.5 minutes right now. But from Skull Buff Sports, for Patrick Dawson, for Nick Evans, I'm Trent Finnegan. Happy Thanksgiving to all you guys out there watching, and you heard it here first.